Welcome to the JTV Caribbean News. I am Sean Rose. The regional body governing the telecoms sector, Actel, is rejecting amendments made to an agreement it had reached with merging parties Cable and Wireless PLC and Columbus International Inc., FLO. A release from Actel claims that the merging parties amended an early agreement, making it unenforceable. The council is demanding that the merging parties honor the commitments, including the provision of services at affordable prices, which have been made to the regulator and also announced publicly. Actel states that FLO expressed its commitment to the goals proposed by the Actel Council of Ministers on matters relating to net neutrality and unrestricted use of over-the-top services, roaming, a harmonized entry-level broadband package, and permitting customers to migrate to the most favorable service plan for them. It added that the merging parties also committed to working with the Council of Ministers and Actel to ensure that services were offered at affordable prices and at the highest quality levels. And in related news, the Eastern Caribbean Telecommunications Authority Actel concedes that pieces of the existing legislation regulating the regional telecommunications industry are ineffective. This month, Actel and OECS National Regulatory Telecommunication Commissions are reviewing the framework along with consumer interest groups to ensure a competitive telecommunication space. More in this report.
The monumental billion-dollar cable and wireless communication Columbus International acquisition exposed deficiencies in existing legislation regulating the regional telecommunications industry by governing body Actel.
From a regulatory point of view, there are clear rules as far as how these operators are supposed to behave. In cases where we deem a behavior to be uncompetitive, we have rules to deal with that. As far as the merger is concerned, we are not authorized to deal with the merger. We don't have the legislative power to deal with the merger. We don't have a competition authority in St. Lucia or even in the Eastern Caribbean. So what we're looking at now is the question of whether the providers having come together are dominant.
Actel, along with national regulatory telecommunication commissions in the OECS and consumer interest groups, are playing catch-up and have sought assistance from an international consultancy firm on an effective review of the legislation.
So the work of Actel and the NTRCs that we're assisting on is to put in place the regulatory toolkit for the NTRCs and Actel to be able to respond to situations in the market and ensure that the operators are respecting the consumers, ensuring that the prices are acting the way they should in a typically competitive market. And in some areas of the market here, there is not the level of competition that you would like to see.
St. Lucian and Vincentian consumer protection agencies are wary of the potential impact on rates from the re-emergence of a dominant provider.
We find that we are last to know what is happening. Then the things are just sprung on us that there's a merger between Lime. So when you're frustrated with Lime and you think you're going to FLO for an internet service, for example, you suddenly hear, oh, Lime and FLO getting together, they are in bed now. And we are very frustrated by that kind of behavior.
We're trying to ensure that we speak for the customers, to ensure that the customers get the most out of this, better prices and satisfaction with the services.
During the Cable and Wireless Communication Columbus merger, Lime CEO Phil Bentley reaffirmed service rates would not be affected. However, as of November 1st, FLO has announced the cost of its broadband services will go up. Rihani Isidore, HTS News Force.
Cayman Islands Premier Alden McLaughlin is set to make another key legislative change when he takes a resolution to the Legislative Assembly to have the Deputy Governor's operational power over the House reassigned to the Speaker, giving the Speaker autonomy over the operations of the House. This motion comes on the heels of the historic passage of a motion to adopt the Electoral Boundary Commission's 2015 report, paving the way for the introduction of the one-man, one-vote system and single-member constituencies in the Cayman Islands. The Premier also revealed plans to create a modern set of standing orders to govern the House. The Cayman Premier said the moves are part of a push that has taken a long time to modernize the Cayman. He assured that they have nothing to do with making steps towards independence from the United Kingdom, although he does see the possibility of independence many years from now. As a follow-up to a situation analysis done on the yachting sector in St. Lucia in March, key stakeholders held a validation meeting this month to chart the way forward for the yachting sector. DBS Don Nicholas has this report.
The Embassy for Eastern Caribbean States is working with the yachting sector here to help it reach its full potential. Authorities recalled the 2008 global financial meltdown, stating that some countries are yet to fully recover from that economic crisis. As a result, Eastern Caribbean authorities are seeking to bring investment home.
So we did a massive study, taking a look at all the services and infrastructure available throughout the region. And this is what we're presenting today. And then the second thing we did, I wrote the project proposal to then take a look at the gaps in services and infrastructure and transform those into investment opportunities for our 4 countries. And so we also have individual action plans for the yachting sector for St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dominica, St. Kitts and Nevis at a time when we really, really need that.
Project proposals that will help beef up the yachting sector will be submitted to government for approval.
We met with the minister this morning and some of his team very enthusiastically received our reports. And 2 quick things that I'll say. The regional report was fascinating in some of the things that it has pulled together, because we have hubs in the east, in the Caribbean that are more lifestyle hubs, like St. Bart's for yachting. We have others that are hubs for chartering companies, like the BVI. In the Southern Caribbean, we don't necessarily have the hubs yet. We need to capitalize on the idea of these hubs.
The yachting sector is said to be underinvested. For the DBS News World, I am Don Nicholas.
And finally, in this week's Caribbean News segment, a new study published in a toxicology journal has found that a chemical widely used in personal care products such as sunscreen poses an ecological threat to corals and coral reefs and threatens their existence. Oxybenzone is found in over 3,500 sunscreen products worldwide and pollutes coral reefs. The study comes less than 2 weeks after the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration (NOAA) declared the 3rd ever global coral bleaching event and warned that locally produced threats to coral such as pollution stress the health of corals and decrease the likelihood that they will resist bleaching or recover from it. Measurements of oxybenzone in seawater within coral reefs in Hawaii and the U.S. Virgin Islands, for example, found concentrations over 12 times higher than the concentrations necessary to impact on coral. At least 80% of the coral reefs in the Caribbean are lost. Between 6,000 and 14,000 tons of sunscreen lotion are emitted into coral reef areas each year, much of which contains between 1 and 10% oxybenzone. That's it for this week's Caribbean News segment. I am Sean Rose.
And coming up next on JTV News. First District Representative Andrew Foy believes the Virgin Islands economy is in a state of emergency. Young Virgin Islands entrepreneurs showcase their businesses at the first Youth in Business Expo. The Office of Gender Affairs and FTM seeks to build national unity against domestic violence. And Sophie B gets a close-up look at new trendy cars on sale now.